The meaning of law. What exactly is law? The most basic Hebrew word for law is Torah, which also means, in addition to law, direction and instruction. In time, the word Torah was used to refer to the entire body of law that Moses received from God on Mount Sinai and passed along to the Israelite. In this usage, Torah means the law, the direction, and even the law of the Lord. One in the New Testament we find two basic Greek words used for law. The first of these is nomos, which means to divide out, distribute, and also that which is assigned. It gradually came to mean usage and custom and, eventually, law as prescribed by custom or by statute. This is the word from which we get our English word norm. Whatever becomes accepted as the norm in our society eventually becomes the law of our society. If we are exposed to a certain unaccustomed idea or behavior long enough, we eventually become so used to it that we start to accept it. Once we accept it, we begin to think of it as normal, or as a norm. And once we see it as a norm, we start to expect it. Once we come to expect it, it becomes, in practical terms, no different from a law, even if it is never formally established as a legal statute. Depending on the nature of the idea or behavior, this process could be very dangerous because we, as a society, could end up endorsing and normalizing evil or immorality. This is precisely what has happened and is happening in Western culture with regard to such issues as homosexual rights, homosexual marriage, abortion rights, assisted suicide, embryonic stem cell research, and the like. God's laws are designed to prevent us from accepting and normalizing evil and assigning it the force of law in our society. This is the protective nature of laws. They prevent ideas and behaviors that are contrary to the Constitution and the good of the state and the people from becoming dominant influences. In other words, God's laws are designed to protect the whole community. This is why sin and violation of the law never affect only the person or persons directly involved, but many others as well. It is like a ripple effect. Our actions, good or bad, affect those around us in ways we may never know. When the Israelites were attacking the city of Ai during their conquest of the land of Canaan, the sin of one man, Achan, led to the defeat of the entire community. Only after the Israelite community dealt with Achan's sin were they able to achieve victory. See Joshua chapters 7-8. God's laws have personal application with national ramifications. Another meaning of nomos is that of a decreed law established by a state. This definition applies perfectly to the kingdom of heaven because that kingdom is a state, it is a country. For citizens of the kingdom of heaven, the Bible is the nomos, the decreed established law of the kingdom that we are pledged and obligated to obey. It is a mistake to think of the Bible as a religious book. It is not. The Bible is a legal book, a book of laws that God has established and set forth in written form to define and protect His kingdom as well as to protect, preserve, and deliver the entire community of mankind. The second Greek word for law in the New Testament is ethos, which means custom. Whenever we speak of something as being customary, we are speaking of ethos. God's laws are supposed to be customary for us. It is supposed to be customary for us not to lie, steal, or covet. It is supposed to be customary for us to forgive and love our enemies as well as each other. Ethos is less formal than nomos. In fact, whereas nomos came to mean decreed, established law, ethos was used to describe unwritten law. The most powerful laws of all are the unwritten laws. In any culture, customs generally carry the social force of law even without formal legal establishment. And customs quite often have a greater influence on people's behavior than any formal laws that are on the books. God never intended to write down any of His laws for us. He did not want us to have to read in order to live. There was no written law in the Garden of Eden, no written law for Abraham, and no written law at all for God's covenant people until the days of Moses. The King of Heaven's intention was to write his laws on our hearts and in our minds so that no one would have to teach us. It was humanity's rebellion and separation from God that made written law necessary. We needed something to restrain our base nature and instincts and prevent us from destroying ourselves through uncontrolled selfishness, passion, and violence. The King's goal has never changed. Despite mankind's rebellion, his original purpose still stands. This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after that time, declares the Lord. I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. Jeremiah 31 verse 33. This unchanging purpose of the King was fulfilled in the new covenant through Jesus Christ.